Today, if you walk into a gun store and ask for the most advanced handgun, nobody's handing you a revolver. Semi-automatics dominate. High capacity, fast reloads, polymer frames. But there was a time when the revolver wasn't just competitive, it was the future. When the double-action revolver hit the scene in the 1880s, it represented the cutting edge of firearms technology, and the world would never be the same. Picture yourself as a police officer in 1880. You're carrying a Colt single-action army. Beautiful gun, reliable. But here's your reality. Every single shot requires you to manually cock that hammer. Thumb back the hammer, pull the trigger. Thumb back the hammer, pull the trigger. In a gunfight, those extra seconds aren't just inconvenient, they're deadly. And reloading, you're opening a loading gate and punching out spent cartridges one at a time with an ejector rod. Under stress, probably in the dark, while someone might be shooting back at you. Law enforcement needed something better. The military needed something better. And in the 1880s, several manufacturers delivered what seemed like science fiction, a revolver that fired every time you pulled the trigger. No manual cocking required. The double-action revolver wasn't entirely new. Colt's model 1877 had been around since, 1877. But it was fragile, unreliable. The mechanism was complicated and broke easily. Then came Colt's 1889 Navy revolver. This was different, this was robust, and it introduced something that changed everything, the swing-out cylinder. Think about what this meant. Instead of tediously punching out 6 spent cases through a loading gate, you pressed a latch, swung the cylinder out, and ejected all 6 cases at once with a star-shaped ejector. Load 6 fresh rounds, snap it shut, back in the fight. Smith & Wesson perfected this design with their hand ejector series, which evolved into the legendary military and police model, later known as the Model 10. By the early 1900s, police departments across America were adopting these new revolvers. The U.S. military followed. These weren't just guns. They were the future of law enforcement and military sidearms. For the next 80 years, when you pictured a cop, you pictured a revolver on his hip. When you pictured a detective, he had a snub-nose wheel gun. The double-action revolver became so dominant that an entire generation couldn't imagine anything else. So what made the double-action revolver the future in 1890? 3 things. First, speed. That double-action trigger meant faster follow-up shots. In a gunfight, speed saves lives. You weren't fumbling with a hammer anymore. Just pull the trigger. Second, reloading. The swing-out cylinder cut reload time from over a minute to under 10 seconds. For police and military, this was transformative. Third, simplicity. Compared to early semi-automatic pistols, which were still experimental and jam-prone in the 1890s, the double-action revolver was dead reliable. Dirt, mud, rain didn't matter. It went bang every time. The firearms industry bet everything on this design. Colt, Smith & Wesson, Webley, Nagant, everyone built double-action revolvers. This was the future, and the future was now. Of course, we know how this story ends. By the 1980s and 90s, semi-automatic pistols had evolved. Higher capacity, faster reloads, lighter weight. Law enforcement and military moved on. But here's what's interesting. The double-action revolver didn't disappear. It just found a new role. Backup guns, concealed carry, competitive shooting, people who value ultimate reliability over capacity. And when you pick up one of these old police revolvers, a Model 10 that rode on some cop's hip for 30 years, you're holding a piece of that revolutionary moment. When this design wasn't outdated, when it was cutting edge, when revolvers were the future. Technology moves on, but for 8 decades, the double-action revolver was the answer to the question, what's the best fighting handgun in the world? Not a bad run. If you enjoyed this look at firearms history, hit that subscribe button. Next time, we're diving into why some revolvers refuse to die, even when everyone said they were obsolete. Thanks for watching.